So what is an inequality? What does that mean? What's an inequality? Ooh, we don't remember. Something that's unequal, not equal, right? So if I said something like x does equal 5, that's an equation, right? And I could even show that on a number line. What would I have to do to show that x equals 5 on this number line?
Put a dot on 5.
Yeah, that's it, right? Call it done. Hey, x is 5. That's how it's written. Okay, but then I could say that some things are not equal to 5. And I could say, well, they're not equal, but they're maybe greater than 5, or I could say they're less than 5. That's really what an inequality is. So let's talk about something being, less than 5. Remember how I showed that on the number line? Yeah.
You do a circle and then a line pointing backwards.
Yeah, I'm saying I can't include 5 here because it doesn't equal 5. But anything less than 5, such as 4 would count, or 2, or -5, or -8. All of these numbers this way, so I shade this in this direction. Everything in this direction, but not 5 or anything above 5, right? And then I could have something like this, very similar to that, but it looks a little different. I could say something like x is greater than 5, or equal to, right? So we have a greater than or equal to sign. What does that look like?
You have a dot on 5.
Yeah, so this time I fill in the circle to show it includes 5. Up here I didn't include 5, and now
then
what?
point an arrow this way.
Good. Remember that stuff? I mean, that was like a while ago that you were learning that kind of stuff. On the piece of paper that you've got, you can kind of draw the same thing that I'm going to do here as well. And I want you to write an inequality. Okay, so put an open circle at -4 and shade it this way. What is the inequality that you can write with that? Yeah,
X is less than -4.
good. So it does not include -4, it is only less than -4. Is it okay to write something like this? -4 is greater than x. Can I do that? Yeah? Yeah? I kind of say, yeah. It's one of those things where you go, it's technically that's true, but again, probably not the best format. We typically like to see our variable on the left-hand side. Okay? Let's try another one. Put a closed circle here at 6 and line going that way. What's my inequality here, Noah?
X is equal to or less than 6.
Equal to or, and we usually say less than or equal to, not equal to or less than. Good. Last one. We'll go down here to -8, open circle, and shade it that way. Noah, what's my inequality here?
X is greater than -8.
Good. Questions with any of those? Most of that should be pretty much a review at this point, right? But what we're going to get into is really changing these a little bit. All of these, x, 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 all by themselves. It's not 3x. It's not x plus 2. But that's what I want to get into now, where we have something kind of like this. X minus 3 is less than 5. Well, that's a little bit trickier, isn't it? Because I can't just say, well, let's compare it to 5, because it's not just x being compared to 5. It's saying, if I take away 3 from x, then it's going to be less than 5. Have any ideas of what we can do there? We're not going to dive into this one a whole lot today, but really what we end up doing to solve for this is we treat it as if it's an equality. X minus 3 equals 5. So solve for it. Add 3 to both sides. When I do that, x is 8. except for, it wasn't really supposed to be equal, it's supposed to be less than. So x is less than 8. So now I can come up here and say 8, all my answers over here are gonna fit this. And if I go back up here, forget about all this work, I can double check those answers, right? If I plug in -6, is that, or not, plug in -6, is that true? Sure. If I plug in -1, is it true? Yeah. If I plug in 7, is it true? Yeah. If I plug in 8, is it true? No. Right? Or anything greater than 8 isn't gonna work either. Okay, so that's the last part of this I want you to think about. If I have an equation now, or excuse me, not an equation, but an inequality, where I say something like 5y plus 3 is greater than or equal to 10, which numbers will make that inequality true? I'll give you a couple options. 0, 1, 2. Now, there could be a whole lot more things that fit in there that make it true. But out of those 3 possibilities, how would you find out for sure which one or which ones make that true? What could you do? And I got kind of, maybe this is a bad way of showing it because we don't really need a number line drawn out. What could I do? Yeah.
Divide both sides by 5.
And I don't want to get into that just yet. I showed you that that's eventually where we'll go. We're kind of going to try to like get y by itself. But there's a few tricky things in there that we're not ready for just yet. But what's the easier way to say yes, that 0 works, or no, doesn't work?
Plug it in.
Yeah. So if I take 0 and I plug 0 in for y, 5 times 0 plus 3 is greater than or equal to 10. Is that true?
No.
Uh-uh. So that one doesn't work. That would make the inequality false. What if I plug in 1? Is that true? No. That'll only get me up to 8. 8's not greater than 10. What if I plug in 2?
Yes.
5 times 2 is 10 plus another 3, 13. 13 is really greater than 10. Makes sense? Alright, so that's as far as we're going to go for today, okay? Which is mostly review. I want to share with you what we're going to do next, though, with these inequalities. Like I said, we're going to get to the point where we can take something like this and start adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing to get y by itself. There's some rules that help us to do that. But then we're even going to get into taking a look at 2 different variables, so x and y. So like 3x plus 2y is greater than, it's greater than 17 or something like that. And the cool thing about that is now you start getting into really a line like this. And you're saying which x and y coordinates together are going to be true for that inequality. And so then you say, well, it's going to be this line and anything in this area under it. Any xy coordinate down there will satisfy that inequality. Okay, and that's called a 2-variable inequality. But we got to kind of review this stuff and build a little bit at a time on it first. Okay? So that's lesson 50. Instead of having you guys do a review for lesson 50, we're going to have a test tomorrow on these last 5 lessons. So I'm going to give you a study guide as your assignment today. So that's a better preparation for what you're going to see tomorrow. Sound good? All right.